For decades, Jack Nicholson was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He won Oscars, dominated the box office, and lived a life filled with fame, parties, and headline-making romances. Then he disappeared. No farewell movie, no retirement announcement. One of the most recognizable actors in the world simply walked away from the spotlight. So what really happened? Why did Jack Nicholson vanish from Hollywood? And why have some friends reportedly feared he could spend his final years alone? The truth behind his disappearance is far more surprising and far more heartbreaking than most people realize. Jack Nicholson's story began long before he became one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Born in 1937 and raised in New Jersey, he grew up believing that the woman he called his mother was actually his mother, and that the woman he knew as his sister was simply his older sibling. It wasn't until he was in his late 30s that he learned the shocking truth. His sister was really his biological mother, and the woman who raised him was his grandmother. In the conservative Catholic community of the 1930s, teenage pregnancy carried a heavy stigma, so the family kept the secret hidden for decades. As a boy, Nicholson loved movies and idolized Marlon Brando. Known as the class clown at school, he also worked as a lifeguard and reportedly saved several lives. During one shift, he spotted actor Cesar Romero walking along the beach and struck up a conversation. When Nicholson mentioned his dream of moving to Hollywood, Romero offered a piece of advice he never forgot. Hollywood could be the greatest place in the world if you were working, and the worst place if you weren't. After graduation, Nicholson headed west and began chasing that dream. He worked as a messenger at MGM Studios, ran errands for animators at Hanna-Barbera, and struggled to get his foot in the door. His first screen test was a failure, prompting him to take acting lessons. Around that time, he met filmmaker Roger Corman, who recognized his potential and gave him early roles in films like The Cry-Baby Killer and The Little Shop of Horrors. Throughout the 1960s, Nicholson appeared in low-budget westerns, television shows, and independent films, but real success remained out of reach. Frustrated with his stalled acting career, he turned to screenwriting. He helped write the screenplay for Head, starring the Monkees, and later wrote The Trip, a film inspired by the psychedelic culture that had become part of his life. That path led to the role that changed everything. In 1969, Nicholson was cast as the hard-drinking lawyer George Hanson in Easy Rider. Though he appeared on screen for less than 20 minutes, his performance stole the film and earned him his first Academy Award nomination. The counterculture classic became a massive success, revolutionized independent filmmaking, and transformed Nicholson into a star almost overnight. With his share of the film's profits, Nicholson bought a home in the Hollywood Hills near his longtime idol Marlon Brando. More importantly, Hollywood finally began to take notice. He followed Easy Rider with memorable roles in films such as On a Clear Day You Can See Forever and the acclaimed drama 5 Easy Pieces. The latter earned him another Oscar nomination and established him as one of the most exciting actors of his generation. As Jack Nicholson's career took off in the 1970s, he also revealed another lifelong passion: basketball. Long before he became a fixture courtside at Los Angeles Lakers games, he directed the basketball film Drive, he said. The movie generated controversy for its explicit content, showing that Nicholson was never afraid to push boundaries and challenge audiences. Throughout the decade, he built a reputation for working with some of the greatest filmmakers in the world. He starred in films directed by Mike Nichols, including Carnal Knowledge, The Fortune, and later Heartburn. He reunited with 5 Easy Pieces director Bob Rafelson for The King of Marvin Gardens and The Postman Always Rings Twice, and delivered a memorable performance in Michelangelo Antonioni's acclaimed drama, The Passenger. The hits kept coming. Nicholson earned another Oscar nomination for The Last Detail, and then starred in what many consider one of the greatest films ever made, Chinatown. Released in 1974 and directed by Roman Polanski, the film became a landmark of American cinema, and further cemented Nicholson's status as one of Hollywood's elite actors. Around the same time, he also appeared in the rock musical Tommy, proving once again that he was willing to take creative risks. Then came the role that changed everything. In 1975, Nicholson starred as Randall McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Directed by Milos Forman, the film became a cultural phenomenon and earned Nicholson his first Academy Award for Best Actor. His performance showcased exactly what made him unique. He had the charisma of a leading man, but the unpredictability of a character actor. No one else in Hollywood looked or acted quite like Jack Nicholson. The years that followed only strengthened his reputation. He worked alongside his childhood hero, Marlon Brando, in The Missouri Breaks, appeared in Elia Kazan's The Last Tycoon, and directed his second feature film, Goin' South. Then came one of the most iconic performances of his career, Jack Torrance in The Shining. Working under legendary director Stanley Kubrick, Nicholson created a character that would haunt movie audiences for generations. While the film received mixed reviews upon release, it has since become one of the most celebrated horror movies ever made. Decades later, his chilling "Here's Johnny" scene remains one of the most famous moments in film history. During the 1980s, Nicholson continued adding acclaimed performances to his resume. He earned Oscar nominations for Reds, Preezy's Honor, and Ironweed, and won his second Academy Award for Terms of Endearment. At the same time, he maintained a highly publicized relationship with actress Anjelica Huston, one of Hollywood's most famous couples of the era. Then came 1989. When Tim Burton cast Nicholson as the Joker in Batman, many were shocked. Serious Oscar-winning actors rarely appeared in comic book movies at the time. But Nicholson transformed the character into a pop culture phenomenon. His performance was funny, dangerous, unpredictable, and unforgettable. For years, many fans believed no one could ever match his version of the Joker. That changed when Heath Ledger created his own legendary interpretation in The Dark Knight. Rather than imitate Nicholson, Ledger took the character in a completely different direction, and both performances are now considered iconic in their own ways. After Ledger's tragic death in 2008, Nicholson sparked headlines with a brief and mysterious comment, "I warned him." The remark immediately fueled speculation. Was he talking about the pressures of fame, the challenges of playing dark characters, or something else entirely? Nicholson never fully explained what he meant, leaving one of the most puzzling comments of his career open to interpretation. In 1990, Nicholson stepped behind the camera once again to direct The Two Jakes, a long-awaited sequel to Chinatown. Although it never came close to matching the acclaim of the original, the film gave Nicholson the chance to revisit one of his most famous characters, private detective Jake Gittes. Off-screen, his personal life was making headlines. During his long and often turbulent relationship with actress Anjelica Huston, Nicholson fathered a child with another woman, creating a highly publicized scandal. Yet, unlike many celebrities whose careers suffer after personal controversies, Nicholson seemed almost immune to backlash. By that point, his reputation as Hollywood's rebellious bad boy was so firmly established that many people simply shrugged and said, "That's Jack." Professionally, the 1990s were another remarkable decade. In 1992, he joined the star-studded cast of A Few Good Men and delivered one of the most memorable performances of his career. His courtroom scene featuring the famous line, "You can't handle the truth," became an instant classic and earned him yet another Academy Award nomination. He continued taking on diverse roles throughout the decade. He starred in Sean Penn's The Crossing Guard, portrayed labor leader Jimmy Hoffa in Hoffa, and appeared in The Evening Star, the sequel to Terms of Endearment. Nicholson also reunited with director Tim Burton for the quirky sci-fi comedy Mars Attacks. In a rare move, he played two different characters, including the President of the United States. The film divided critics and audiences, but Nicholson's over-the-top performance became one of its biggest highlights. Then came one of the greatest achievements of his career. In 1997, Nicholson starred opposite Helen Hunt in As Good as It Gets. Playing the brilliant but deeply flawed Melvin Udall, he delivered a performance that earned him his third Academy Award. The role showcased everything that made Nicholson special as an actor: his sharp wit, emotional depth, unpredictability, and ability to make even the most difficult characters feel human. By the end of the decade, Nicholson had accomplished something few actors ever achieve. He had won Oscars across multiple decades while remaining one of the biggest and most respected stars in Hollywood. In 1998, Nicholson made headlines when he traveled to Cuba and met with Fidel Castro. While some celebrities might have faced backlash for spending time with a controversial political figure, Jack's career hardly skipped a beat. By then, he seemed to operate by a different set of Hollywood rules. After that, he stepped away from acting for 4 years before returning in 2001 with The Pledge, directed by Sean Penn. The film gave audiences a very different side of Nicholson, but it was about Schmidt the following year that truly surprised people. Gone was the swaggering, larger-than-life Jack everyone knew. Instead, he played a lonely, retired man searching for meaning after a lifetime of disappointments. The performance earned him another Academy Award nomination and reminded audiences just how much range he had as an actor. In 2003, Nicholson teamed up with Adam Sandler for the hit comedy Anger Management. It was a departure from many of his dramatic roles, but he fit perfectly into the film's chaotic energy. The chemistry between the two stars helped turn the movie into a major box office success, earning more than $200 million worldwide. That same year, he starred opposite Diane Keaton in Something's Gotta Give, playing a wealthy older bachelor whose lifestyle is challenged when he unexpectedly falls in love. The romantic comedy became another hit and earned Nicholson praise for showing a softer, more vulnerable side. After another short break, he returned in 2006 for one of the most memorable films of his later career, The Departed. Surprisingly, it was his first collaboration with director Martin Scorsese. The pairing proved to be worth the wait. Playing crime boss Frank Costello, Nicholson delivered a wild, unpredictable performance that dominated every scene he appeared in. Scorsese encouraged him to improvise, which led to many of the character's most unforgettable moments. In 2007, Nicholson joined forces with Morgan Freeman for The Bucket List. The film followed two terminally ill men determined to experience life before it was too late. While critics were mixed, audiences embraced the movie, and it became a major commercial success. More than anything, it reminded viewers that Nicholson was entering a new chapter of his career, one where aging, mortality, and legacy had become part of the stories he chose to tell, but it never happened. In 2010, Jack Nicholson made what appears to be his final film appearance in How Do You Know, starring alongside Reese Witherspoon, Paul Rudd, and Owen Wilson. Unfortunately, the movie was a major disappointment. It performed poorly at the box office, reportedly losing more than $100 million, and critics were largely unimpressed. After a career filled with classics and award-winning performances, Nicholson's last movie was far from the grand farewell many expected. Then, almost overnight, he disappeared from Hollywood. There were rumors about memory loss and declining health, but Nicholson never confirmed them. Instead, he suggested that he simply no longer felt the need to keep acting. After decades at the top, he had nothing left to prove. He once said he was still wild at heart, but admitted that age changes things. The non-stop lifestyle, the parties, and the spotlight no longer held the same appeal. Unlike some actors who continue working until their final days, Nicholson seemed content to walk away on his own terms. He had won multiple Academy Awards, built one of the most respected careers in film history, and achieved everything most actors only dream about. More importantly, he never particularly enjoyed the celebrity side of Hollywood. He rarely gave interviews, avoided talk shows for decades, and preferred to keep his private life private. The offers never stopped coming. Directors continued sending scripts his way, hoping to lure him back. In 2017, there was even talk of a comeback when Nicholson was attached to an American remake of the acclaimed German film Toni Erdmann. For a moment, fans thought they might see him on screen again, but the project eventually fell apart, and Nicholson quietly returned to retirement. In recent years, he has rarely appeared in public. One of his most notable appearances came in February 2025 at the 50th anniversary celebration of Saturday Night Live. Photographs showed the 88-year-old actor using a cane, sparking renewed concern among fans. According to people who have seen him privately, Nicholson simply prefers to stay out of the spotlight now. He doesn't like to be seen much in public, one source told the New York Post. Part of his appeal was his larger-than-life personality and lifestyle. But that all catches up with you after a while. I think Jack and his inner circle prefer that people remember him as he was. Even so, many of his friends still hold out hope. In 2023, director James L. Brooks admitted he wasn't convinced Nicholson was finished forever. "I keep thinking he's going to get itchy and scratch it," Brooks said. "My theory is it's not his last movie. Whether that comeback ever happens remains uncertain. But after more than a decade away from acting, it seems increasingly likely that Jack Nicholson has already made his final exit. And if that's true, he leaves behind one of the greatest careers Hollywood has ever seen."